almost good because there's no hours, you know,
Where at?
like early in the morning, all the way to almost done.
Okay.
It's not
In the street
expensive.
right away? Because we don't have control over utilities in our street right away anymore.
Oh, that's why I asked that question. Yeah, they're just leaving everything up, putting fiber and sand.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really getting pleasant. It was about 72 for the 8 o'clock.
Well, that's why I was wondering if we'd gotten anything, or has there been any communications?
No, but I think the state governs all of that now, because we get, because there's a
Oh, yeah?
complaint
Well,
from
I play like I'm getting
consumers and Verizon and Frontier and Spectrum that the rules in Whitehall are exactly going to do. The rules are different, so the state passed laws. Basically saying,
I call this meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
so, all we do is, so the state is in charge of it.
All right, first up is approval of the agenda.
It's a decent amount of money, but
I'll move for approval of the agenda for July 25, 2023 as submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed say no. It is approved. Next up is consent agenda.
I'll move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I've got one question, Scott. Page 1 on the accounts payable for the Catchmark Technology. We've got I know the council live streaming, and we've also got marina Wi-Fi. Is the marina Wi-Fi, which I'm sure is the biggest portion of that bill, is that a set up and material, or is this gonna be a reoccurring?
there will be a reoccurring. Basically, we had the Wi-Fi go down, and Catchmark came out and did the repairs. There was some delays with the repairs, and I ended up talking to our manager as well as Brent Wraith about it. And basically, we had chosen not to do an annual maintenance contract. We just thought it's all brand new, right? Nothing's going to go wrong. 6 months later, we had problems. And of course, you spend a couple of days because Catchmark and Spectrum go back and forth. You know, it's their fault, it's our fault. Anyway, so there is repair cost in that. Plus, I think it's only, I forget what the monthly is, like $300. But what that does is they will come down every month and go through the whole system, make sure everything's okay. They'll do some minor repairs. Any of the software upgrades, they'll do as part of that contract. And that also puts us on the top of the list for annual maintenance versus, you know, because as Brett said, those that are on the annual maintenance, when things go bad, they respond to them sooner than they do the rest of the customers. So we're at the top of the pecking order, and hopefully with the annual maintenance and the monthly review, we will avoid that in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
I got a couple things. I was gonna save them just for the messages part, but since they both kind of relate to accounts payable, I'll do them now. One is also with Catchmark. I don't know if anybody from staff ever goes online and watches the video of the council meetings or not, but at the prompting of a couple of people that approached me last week about the quality of the video being terrible, I went on and watched one of them, and the last one, and understand what they're talking about. When you open it up to a full screen, unless you know the people's voices, you can't even see the mouths moving on any of us sitting up here. So I don't know if we have different cameras now than we had before, or what's going on with it, that we might get a little bit more participation on people watching if they could actually see and understand what was going on. The other one is the payment to Hellick Construction for all the works last year, and it would be my recommendation to not pay them in full for work on Wilshire Drive, which is just terrible. The ditches are too steep. They're not mowable anymore with a lawnmower. The only way you can do them is do them with a weed whacker. There's standing water in the ditches. There's one of my customers that I have up there, probably 2 foot of the new culvert they put underneath the driveway is all washed out and exposed, and we haven't really even had that much rain. And I don't know what they used for seed when they seeded any of that, but it definitely had more weed seed in it than it did grass seed. So I'll just leave that at that and see if anybody else wants to comment on it.
Anyone else?
I just have a question. The things that they buy for all the different plays at the playhouse, the wind chimes, peg dolls, paint, scenic art, props, batons, jackets. What do they do with all that stuff when the play is done? Do they give it to Goodwill? Do they give it to the people that are working in the thing? Or I'm just curious what happens to all the stuff that they buy for these different plays?
If you want to, we could do it after the council meeting. We can go through the scene shop, former ambulance building. That is prop and wardrobe haven. We keep most of it. I know a couple of years ago, we worked with Goodwill, Cindy Beth and Beth did, where we actually took some of their products for a theatrical performance and gave it back, obviously washing it as well. But we get a lot of that stuff donated. There's just about every type of period costume and uniform over at the scene shop. So we typically keep a lot of it. Every now and then they go through the whole inventory, if you will. I mean, it's just an eyeball. We don't have a paper inventory by any means. And they will donate the stuff to Goodwill that's still of value, or throw out the stuff that is just beyond use by anybody. So it's kind of a bit of a revolving door with all of the costumes and props.
Okay. So if a council member wanted something for Halloween, he could go find something.
We could probably set you up, yes.
Perfect.
I'm just kidding. Right?
And whatever gender you want to go with.
Oh, okay.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, say no.
No,
Consent agenda is approved. Next is message from mayor, council, and city manager. Let's start with the city manager.
Maybe just 2 items to hit on this evening. The first is, I'm sure you've all noticed or heard, Mears is under construction. They were chewing up the road this morning and most of the day. They're working on the south end as much as they can. Then they'll go back and do the north end because we're trying to coordinate the start of the school season with Shoreline Elementary, trying to make that as minimal disruption as possible with all the buses and all the parents that are dropping the kids off at Shoreline. So that project has started. I think they started at least a week ahead of schedule initially, if not 2. And so far everything's going well. But again, they're tearing everything up. So a lot of times nothing goes bad when you're tearing things up. And there will be a temporary road closure on Lake Street tomorrow. There is a sewer lateral to a private residence that basically totally collapsed. We got shied in on an emergency basis. They'll be working on it first thing in the morning, but it will require half of that road to be closed in order for them to have a safe area to work and reconnect that lateral. So we got those 2 projects going on, and that's all I've got to report.
what part of Lake Street is going to be closed?
It is, it's down towards Collier. I'm not sure. So pretty much the south end. And it's not going to be a big stretch. It's, they're just going to have a couple of trucks out there and a backhoe digging up the street. And
It's just
So
the
you're not gonna
northbound
be
lane.
able to go from like the Main Street down past Mill Pond. That's the part that'll be closed.
well, it's going to be a partial closure. We're still going to have one lane open at all
Southbound
times.
will be open, northbound will be closed.
Okay.
There is a backhoe there now.
Yeah.
After the meeting, you wanted to drive down there, you could see where the backhoe is.
Okay.
Yep.
I just
And
I don't know how close it is to
gotta
the
go that
actual
way
digging
tomorrow, and I just
location.
wondered whether to go around the other way to
And
get
of
there.
course, it happens when we shut down Mears and are using Lake and Division as our detour routes.
Okay, message from the council. Jeff?
After the last council meeting, I did contact, did some research, talked to, Stephen Township. They started their, movies in the park this year. I got a hold of their parks person and she sent me email links to all the items that they bought. It sounds like Roosevelt Park is borrowing or renting theirs on a different night. It looks pretty reasonable so far, but I'll have some better numbers for everybody. She actually sent me the link to the place where you can actually buy the movies and play them and be all legit with that too. So they're going great guns. They contacted Wesco. Wesco brings down popcorn. They've got food trucks that show up. It sounds like a pretty good deal. So if you guys want to see what it's like, I think she said they got another movie tomorrow. You just go to their Mesquite Township's Facebook page, and they said they had 168 people the first time they had it.
Where are they doing that at?
I don't remember which park it is. It's somewhere in the township, but yeah, they had 168 people the first time they did it. So,
Do you have an idea what it costs for the movie?
no, and she said it varies on the movie that you want and how old it is. The other cool thing is they're actually taking some of their senior millage money because they're doing a older movie in hopes of drawing the older crowd one night, and they're taking some of that millage money to help promote that and do that as well. So it's kind of cool. So, like I said, I think we got a great place in Goodrich Park. I think they said that they bought a 30-foot inflatable screen, so it's pretty good size. And then they played it from the front the first time, and they said it's actually better quality if you shoot from the back onto the screen, which the screen has capability of doing both. So they said the only thing they recommend is they bought 2 speakers, and they said you might want to go with a couple more, and the speakers were pretty reasonable too. So more crowd you get, the more noise and the chatter from the kids, but it all looks actually pretty reasonable. I mean, you can go buy a kit for $15,000, but I found it for like $3 with everything. So I'll have better numbers for you guys next week or 2 weeks. So. And like I said, if you want to go look, you can go look. And I know Montague does one too at Tiny Town or whatever they call it over there. That name. They like my name. Yeah, so I think it'd be a good thing. Like I said, we got a natural hill there, so people just bring their chairs or blankets or whatever, sit up on the hill on Goodrich and shine it. Put the screen down by the closer to the lake at the bottom of the hill, and I think we'd be all right. But something to think about. I'll get numbers next 2 weeks. So. Something like that. You betcha.
Mr. Brown?
I have nothing tonight.
Don?
I just gotta say that the Walk the Bee event was very enjoyable. I had a good time at that, so kudos to the organizers. It was great hearing a variety of musicians and seeing so many people from the community taking part out in our streets.
It was very well attended.
Yes, I would like to give a big thank you to City Manager Hughley, and I'm also sure that Mr. Armstrong had a lot to do with it too. But bringing in the right people to do the right job, the monuments, our veterans monuments look awesome. I don't know if anybody's seen the work that's been going on the last couple of weeks, but they were both in need of masonry repair, particularly the one at Coble Park. That was getting to the point where we were gonna start losing it, and we can't afford to do that. I came to Scott last year with my concerns about it, and he said, let me see what I can do, and now I know what he can do. It turned out beautiful from what I've seen so far. I know they've still got a little more work to do on Coble Park. There's gotta be a cap put on that to keep the water from getting in. But, the new steps, I wasn't sure about when I was talking to the guy when they were putting the forms in, and he told me what they were doing. Well, we'll see what it looks like, and I think it blends in. I mean, it's different, but it blends in, and it really looks nice. So thank you for moving forward on that and getting that done.
You're welcome, and I'll just put the plug in for Morden Construction. Dean Evans, local,
Oh, yeah.
is the one. He's an artist with concrete.
Another Whitehall graduate.
And they did a great job.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, I haven't heard any comments to me about the painting in the tunnel down there. I haven't heard any negative or positive about it. But one thing I haven't been through it myself to decide whether I like it or not, but I did notice that, and I thought it was supposed to be only in the tunnel, and I noticed on the south face, there's a huge painting there that I think is not part of the deal. And I don't know if we're gonna do something about that or what. I thought it was supposed to be only in the tunnel, because I would imagine the people that own the property and are planning the new construction there are not gonna wanna look out their windows and see that unless they really enjoy it or something. I don't know, but I didn't think they were supposed to paint there.
I don't think that was the intention, but I don't think we didn't really have hard and set guidelines on it. I was kind of surprised, as you were, where they did paint, but it is being very actively used. We did put a trash can out there today because some of the artists were leaving behind their used paint cans. But now they have been using the trash can to throw their stuff out. Yeah, it's drawn a lot of interest.
Has it?
It has.
Positive and negative, or?
I think mostly positive. Some of the artists have taken it upon themselves, as Mr. Jura had mentioned, to paint over things that are obviously objectionable. But yeah, we did have somebody complain Saturday?
Yeah, Sunday, actually.
Sunday. Somebody called in a complaint that kids were defacing city property.
Yeah.
So an officer went down there, and I ran into some kids painting yesterday. It was kind of interesting because their reaction was, "Hi, sir, how are you?" It's like, I'm not here to bust you. You're allowed to do this. So the artists are enjoying it, and I think they're self-policing fairly well so far.
Thank you.
Keith?
Nothing this evening.
Okay. I'd like to say too, the Walk the Beat was an awesome event. It was a lot of work. A lot of people put a lot of effort into that, and I heard nothing but positive comments about it. I'm sure, I don't know if any of the other people in this room went to that, but the Walk the Beat organization would love to hear your thoughts on it, good, bad, what we can do to make it better. So there is a Walk the Beat White Lake area, I believe is the Facebook page that you could go to, and walk the beat White Lake area.org, I believe is a website. So there's plenty of places where you can give your input on this event. I'd like to see it come again next year. It's something that requires, as I said, a lot of volunteers. So please pass the word on to others, and hopefully we'll have another one next year. And with that, I also I think today was the deadline for the turning in for nominating petitions. I would ask our city clerk to let us know the individuals that are running for office.
I would love to. For mayor, we have two, Steve Salter and Scott Brown. And we have for council member candidates, Chris Billy, Tanya Kabala, Richard Connell, Keith Heidelberg, Deborah Hillebrand, Mark Nienhaus, and Tom Ziemer.
And
They will be on the ballot.
just for everyone's knowledge, when are they allowed to put signs out in the community?
Well, there's actually no longer a stipulation of time frame. Yeah, that's now gone, but we'd prefer it to be a little closer to yeah, it used to be 45 days,
Yes.
window, but actually there is no restrictions on that.
Why did we remove restrictions?
We didn't.
Supreme Court. If you, basically, unless you want to.
Nope, jump right.
It's a freedom of speech issue in that if you have to read a sign to determine how you're regulating it, that's a violation of free speech. So we have to be very careful, and we revised our sign ordinance probably a year and a half ago with a lot of input from our city attorneys to make sure that it meets all of the current federal and state guidelines.
Okay, thanks.
All right, with that, we will move on to public comment. Yes.
Kim Sear, County Commissioner for this area. One of the things with the signs, we're on that subject, I think one of the problems was that a lot of the municipalities had maybe 30 days before, 45 days before, things of that nature. And a lot of times the absentee ballots went out way before that, and people had them and they were already filling in the names, and the candidates hadn't had an opportunity to share with their signs. So I'm going to share a couple of things countywide. If I've said these here before, forgive me. Too many committee meetings and so forth. The Muskegon County wastewater, there's a couple thousand acres of land there that are slated for solar. There's no official announcement yet, so I can't really give you any details. But that area that they're going to put them is not really that good for crops, because we grow crops there and we have income from that. But the area where they're going to put these is not that good for crops, plus the fact that there is a provision for a replacement of the loss of revenue that we would have. So airfare was a success down in Muskegon, sold out I think both days, and tons of people there. They had it set up really well. Everybody was pretty much on the front lines, and the speakers were good so you could hear what was going on, and it was very well attended, and it's been a long time. A lot of people are pretty happy, I think, about that. So regional transit study has been completed. It's been close to 2 years and over $1 million spent on checking out how we're going to go forward. I think it looks like, and this is not official, after the meeting we had today, we'll probably be going forward with transitioning the transit authority to an authority and get it out of the governance of the county board. Transfer station should be ready in August. I'm just saying, we took the new cell. We took a tour the last weekend of the wastewater system and the solid waste system. And the new cell's coming along well. It looks like it probably will be ready sometime in August. So I think we're all good. That's it for now.
Thank you for that update. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes.
Hello, I'm Lillian Morningstar, 912 Lakeview Street, Whitehall, Michigan. Just want to let you know on the movies, we have them at the senior center too, once a month on Mondays. I think it's Monday, the second Monday of the month. Christy has all the details. She picks out really nice movies. The last one was Rated Marble, I can't do it. Jane Fonda and the Four Girls and the Football. That was the last movie, it was a comedy. Before she goes through with the life and the drastic changes in people, and well, they're good movies. A lot of people like them. So we need a comedy once in a while, so that's what we had last time. So it's like at 1:15 in the afternoon, gets done about 3:30. So I just thought I'd throw in the movies over at the senior center too.
Wonderful.
And then, is there any way that we can have, I hate to complain, Halleck construction on Lakeview Street and Lewis Street, and the grass that they put in there? It's an eyesore. I think you work for Harconic, right? And you drove down there, you see the crap, and I have very bad grass over there. And I have that big 2 lots. And I keep looking at that. I said, well, I got some of this cheap grass I could throw out there, but I think they should come back and put some decent grass in there. And even on our Harconic side, they've had a tree up there that's been laying on the side for about 2 years now, a little pine tree. And I get to know, who do I call? I don't know anybody out there. I used to, but I don't know, they're probably all long gone, you know? But is there any way can city maybe say something to Harconic? I don't know if they're landscaping. They were over there mowing today. So, but it looks pretty bad, that tree laying there for 2 years now. It kind of fell over and is dead. Even when I had that fire down there, it was going dead then. It's over 2 years, 2019 I think it was. So, 2020? I don't know what it was. Something like that, whenever that fire happened. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Do you have any old business?
We do not, Your Honor.
Old business. New business. Climate Mobilization Action Plan adoption.
I'll move to adopt the plan.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion on this?
Yeah,
Please go forward.
I think, well, I'm gonna disagree with the thing right from the start. It's makes statements that are not provable, and they say it's scientific, but there's a lot of scientists that disagree on this. As far as it saying, in our current ages, climate is changing more rapidly than ever before. If action is not prioritized immediately taken, drastic and detrimental effects will become very apparent in the upcoming years. That's conjecture. Overall, this extra production of heat is gradually promoting the heating of our Earth and what is otherwise known as climate change. As far as I know, the climate has been changing ever since the Earth was formed. And to say that anything is out of line with what's happened in the past years is conjecture also, because they don't really know what happened in the past years. The Paris Agreement on page 2 was signed, but the United States never agreed to the Paris Agreement because it would have to been a treaty. And the only way a treaty can go through is with 2/3 of the Senate, and that definitely did not get passed by 2/3 of the Senate as a treaty. So the implementation of this stuff is all by executive decree or order or whatever. And to me, that's just government run amok. It's government taking control of people's lives and telling them what to do and what they can't do. And to me, it's you know, I have no problem with reducing emissions, saving fuel however you can, and trying to conserve. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever, but saying that production of the heat is caused by these gases, I don't think they can prove that either. I think that, in my opinion, and from what I know of people who live in heavily populated areas, a lot of heat comes from asphalt and buildings. And the more you put asphalt down, the more roads you have, the more driveways you have covered with asphalt, they get hot. And that we'd probably save a whole lot more money by going to dirt roads than we would by doing any or all of the things that are listed in this climate action plan. And to me, it's junk science. So that's my opinion on the thing.
Anyone else? Is this a roll call?
No, sir.
Yes,
for a show of hands, those in support of it. Okay. Next up is ordinance deer culling.
I will graciously move to ordinance 2302, deer hunting or deer control in the city of Whitehall.
Second.
You seconded. Is there any discussion on this?
I'll just make my same comment I made the other few times that, we definitely need to do something to control the deer, and I wish we would have made the area a smaller area, so there would have been more areas to hunt. But, we gotta start, like you said last time, we gotta start somewhere, so I support it. The only thing, I would like to see when we do make a revision to it is that we have a way to, know whether we're doing anything or not. Whoever we're granting permission to hunt, I would like to see them have to report back to the city of whether they did take any deer, and if they did, how many they took. So we know whether we're actually doing anything or not.
One thing with that, while we're talking about it, the DNR has a new reporting system. It's required that you report your deer kill, all your deer kills, and your location. Now, I don't know, Scott, if you can get hold of somebody at the DNR and see if we can glean that information at the end of the season. But that would be the easiest way, because everybody's it's law. If you don't report, you're hit. If they catch you, it's pretty hefty fine and a misdemeanor, if I remember right. But
They lowered that.
did they lower it? But I know you're required to report. So if we could do that, if we get able to glean that information, that would be outstanding, because it would tell us what's happening. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure what format that's in and what we would have to do to, pull out the kills that were in the city of Whitehall. But also the property owners have to get an application. We can, in that application, make that a requirement that they have to report.
How many were taken off their property? That would be great too.
I think that'd be a lot easier for us to document. And
so it's an app. It's an MD, and you just report your right on the app. So I mean, it's pretty easy. So, and you report where it is. And granted, guys will want to tell where the good deer are, but a lot of people don't care. So they just put it in there. But yeah, I think between the two choices, I think there are two ways that I think we'd be able to get some information.
I know Montague requires reporting every deer taken in the city, so. And whether it's from the person doing it or the property owner.
Good. I'm glad this is coming. Like I said, I've had several people that are, when's it coming to council? When's it gonna get voted on? I wanna know. So let those people know what the vote is when it gets done.
Well, I wholeheartedly support it too, and I hope that we can see it as a potential first step. If we get our feet wet with this, get comfortable with the idea and everything, and then decide, hey, maybe shrinking down
We'll do
the
like Scott
acreage,
said, shrink it down to 4 acres or whatever we need to do to it's just tweaking.
If the number taken isn't where we want it to be, whatever, be open to that in the future. But I think this is definitely the right direction.
Yep.
As with any ordinance, the council has the ability to make changes to it at any time. So let's give this a fair shot, see how it works.
I agree with the idea of doing this also. I see in the ordinance that the landowner himself, if he's not a hunter, has to go and request from the city that someone be allowed to hunt there. Is that the way I read that? That the landowner has to go to the city and say, I have a friend who wants to hunt on my property, or however it works, and the landowner goes to the city first.
Yeah. All of the landowners have to come in and get an application from the city.
Okay.
And the hunters have to give proof that they've been given permission to hunt on that property.
The landowners have to give permission. So if you're not taking any deer yourself, you can still give someone permission to hunt on that
Right,
property.
yeah.
Yes.
And, I'm thinking that it's probably not gonna do a whole lot. We obviously have a deer problem, but unless the city is going to allow hunting on city property and Howmet allows hunting on Howmet property and the school district allows hunting on some school district properties, I don't think you're gonna have a whole lot happen, because those are all the big areas where most of the deer are, and they're the most huntable areas. So I don't know if the council was to recommend to the city administration that they allow hunting on city property, or is that totally up to the city manager, or how does this all work?
That is up to the city council by ordinance. Staff strongly recommends against allowing hunting on city
Okay.
property because we just think it's too much of a mixed use. All of the city property is, other than 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., all the parks, all the city property is open and available for any and all residents at any time. We think that would be a bad mix. I know there's talk about hunting on some state property, but I think that, you're talking thousands of acres, or at least hundreds. So the thought is with public property, it's not a good idea, especially same with the schools. You definitely don't want anybody hunting near any of the playgrounds. Howmet property, that's private property, and it would be up to them whether or not they would want to allow hunting on their property. So this ordinance allows it on private property only at this time.
Oh, okay.
If council wanted to change that, then it would be within your prerogative to change it.
I know a guy that owns 30 acres within the city limits of Montague, and he has rented his property to a couple of hunters for first week in November for $1,000 a piece, and the second week in November for the same type of thing, and it pays its taxes. Yeah, so,
Okay.
people can think about doing that type of thing too.
Well, Kim, don't we still do out of wastewater, we still do a drawing, don't we?
Hunts are still available.
Yep.
I mean, so from Howmet's perspective, I mean, is depending how they want to view their employees, they could do a lottery with their employees and say, hey, put your name in a hat, we'll draw 10 people, and this is where you go on.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something that would work from Howmet's perspective. So.
DuPont had a similar thing, of course, they weren't in the city, but
Yep.
they would allow ex-employees to hunt there.
Yep.
I know, because I was one.
Yep.
And I hunted there a couple times, although it wasn't, I had better places to hunt, but
Yep.
and the best places are usually taken right off the bat, claimed by certain people.
Yep.
And, I don't know what they're doing right now anymore. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, because I think the guy that was running the operation is not doing it, but they would only allow bow hunting, even
Yep.
though they were not in the city limits.
Yep.
DuPont only allowed bow hunting, and it was only by, ex-employees, so that's how they did it, so I don't know how much will do it either. Anyway, I think we need to start somewhere, like everybody said. Sounds good.
That's pretty much my feeling, and I mean, I said it before, I think the ordinance is a little bit too restrictive, but we've never done this before. We gotta start somewhere, and this would be a good start. We'll go from here.
Anyone else?
We will, if it passes, we will let everybody know in newsletters and et cetera, so.
Oh yeah.
We can get that interest gauge because we're on 2 months out? October 1st. So, it's coming up.
All right, if we have no further discussion, let's have a roll call, please.
Holmstrom,
Yes.
Malali,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
Sittinga,
Yes.
Heidelberg,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Salter.
Yes. 2302 approved. Next is summer closure of North Mears Avenue. This is something that I've kind of been wanting to see for quite some time. I'd like to see this as another opportunity for public gathering space, especially this coming weekend when there's going to be lots of people in this community, bikes riding around. I think it's a safety issue at that point, but I would still like to see us close that down for the summer to allow public to socialize there. I think when people come into a town and see people socializing out there, it's good for the town, it's good for the merchants, so I'd like to hear council's thoughts on it.
One thing I did this weekend during the walk the beat was I made the point of going back there and looking around because the road, that section of road was closed off for that event. It seemed to work okay, and in my opinion, the parking lot was fairly well utilized, so people were still finding their ways in and out. And from what I could tell, it wasn't impeding any business from getting customers. From my observation, I'd be open to experimenting with this because it seems like a good potential.
And once again, it's not a permanent thing. We would see what would happen and see how it would work. If it didn't work, we could deal with it. If it did work, we could deal with it that way as well. We do have two egresses, ingresses, I guess, on both sides between First Street and off of Division. If you look at, drove down City Muskegon today, they've taken a substantial amount of their parking and concrete and on sidewalks and put posts in. I don't know if you've been down to Bike Time, but I took a drive down to go get lunch today down that way, and they've concreted a lot. And Grand Haven's done the same thing where they've actually, like the 3 spots on North Mears, they've actually taken those and put barricades and flower pots and stuff up there, and then tables for the summer. This would be just, like I said, the same idea. I think it would be worth a look at. That's for sure.
Well, I wasn't aware this was coming up tonight until, we got the revision on it. I would have liked to have seen it go to a work session, but my own opinion, what went on this weekend when we have an event such as Walk the Beat or other ones that go on during the summer, I don't have a problem with that. It's just like closing up a parking lot, one of our parking lots for a beer tent or something like we used to do for Maritime and some of the other festivals that we've had over the years. To do it on a regular basis, I'm not in favor of it. I know Mr. Lally said that, he didn't see any people were finding their way in and out, wasn't a problem. Well, I watched, and I wasn't down there for a long time, but I watched 2 vehicles coming out of the alley by the Century Building the wrong way. That's a one-way in only, and they were coming out. And you're crossing over a sidewalk, it's got people on it, it's dangerous. I feel kind of the same way. We closed down First Street, allow Pub 111 to close down First Street between their buildings for the summer. Unless there's an event going on, I see very few people using that. I think it's ridiculous to close down a whole street for a whole summer when it doesn't get used. It just, if there's an event going on, fine, but not on a regular basis.
I agree with Mr. Connell. I just don't see using public property, for private enterprise gain or whatever you want to call it. I agree that if there's a special event going on, I don't have any problem closing it. I've never been in favor of Pub 111 being allowed to close First Street or the alley or whatever you want to call it. I've never been in favor of Fetch being allowed to use an entire city sidewalk for making their seating twice the size because the building's too small for what they got going on. I'm not in favor of this either.
On this end?
I think you should ask the fire department. Oh, going the other hand. Ingress egress from there, you got one 10-foot, you got one 20-foot on one side, and that parking lot's tight for big vehicles. So,
we would definitely have to make in some changes in striping and lining down and removal of a few spots so people could get around it down there to do that.
Because we also put posts up there, so you have this basic one.
Yeah, so I mean, I went down and looked, and you'd have to take out a couple of spaces closest to the posts on both sides to be able to make a round robin in each one of those areas. But yeah, I don't think it's impossible. And again, I think it's something we should look at. But I mean, we don't want to dump a bunch of money into it as far as if it's not going to work. But again, it's just like we just got to discuss and see what happens. If you look at Ludington and when they closed their street end up there, and granted it's two different towns, but where they closed that park up there, it's packed. And it's
Ludington is packed.
Anyways, but that road closure that they did up there is
apples to oranges.
No,
We don't have a Cross Lake Ferry that comes into our town.
they don't have one right now either for the next month.
True.
Yeah, and that ends up in the drink. But yeah, I agree. I think we have to at least look at it. I think if we don't like it, maybe we can just close down those 3 spots on the right hand side while I'll be on we're looking at northeast corner. Those 3 spots that I didn't want anything. But anyways, close them down at least as a start, maybe. I don't know, get some more sidewalk space and some tables down there. Because we want a gathering spot.
When's the next Tiffin meeting? Just curious what the business owners of downtown.
October.
October.
Yep, October.
I do like that as one potential alternative. Those 3 spots could be converted into a seating area in conjunction with the social district. Because on the other side you've got Fetch's seating, but that's Fetch's seating as opposed to social districts.
And I would still like to see some more tables and leave those. If we got rid of those spots where the people could actually drive around, and not have to drive across, we could actually leave those posts up and put a couple more tables there as well. And I think that's something we ought to be doing anyways. Because I'm sure they would get between the 4 seasons, they'd be getting used probably by everybody in the 3, and then over the winter maybe the sledders would use them for sitting on, et cetera, et cetera. So we put the fireplace down there. We put a lot of money into that north end. That north end project, I think, time to work on it, take it another step.
I think the idea on the table here is not a permanent decision. I think we're talking about a 1-month experiment and then reevaluate.
Steve? Yeah, I don't know how the agreement is with Fetch for using that sidewalk, but I mean, because it's public property, couldn't anybody just go sit there for whatever reason they wanted to, whether they were buying something from Fetch Brewery or not? They can sit there with
That is correct.
Can't drink beverages?
That aren't bought
Part
from
of
this.
It's part of the social district, so why wouldn't they?
No, that is not part of the social district. It's not part of the common area of the social district.
Right.
Yeah,
So they have
the
rights
city
to that
council
area.
allowed
A lot of other people.
They
have permission.
Fetch.
They have permission.
COVID expanded outdoors, the temporary permanent seating.
And like, I agree with Scott on a lot of this, Councilman Brown, in that the south side there by Pub 111, I don't ever see anybody use that either. And to cut off that entry and exit to that parking lot, I don't think is a very good idea. They have a huge inside space. Pub 111 does. They have a lot of room in there, and that's probably why hardly anybody sits out there. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the reason is, but I don't like the idea of closing that off. Maybe for a special occasion or something, but closing it off for months at a time, I don't think is a good idea. That's where I stand.
By way of history, Pub 111 and Fetch, the expanded Fetch outdoor seating, is part of a COVID response where indoor seating was extremely limited. Initially it was banned, then it was extremely limited. Then the state allowed for expanded outdoor dining and drinking establishments, and they started by calling it temporary outdoor, and now they still have temporary. It's now called permanent temporary outdoor, which this city council did approve. You have the right to rescind any or all of them, but I do believe it requires a public hearing in order to rescind those. But if that's the way council's leaning towards either one of those locations to reduce that outdoor seating, then staff will take a look at the process.
But if you look at, if you walk in any city right now, this is the growing trend.
It is.
You're seeing outdoor seating everywhere. I mean, you never used to see stuff on the sidewalks and tables and chairs. And you, like I said, granted we're not Muskegon, we're not Grand Haven, but if you take a drive down there and you look, cities are making huge expenditures to make this work. And if you want a healthy downtown, if you want these businesses to survive and thrive, and you want more to come in, you gotta have people there. You gotta. You know, if you can throw like Sunday night in Whitehall, I mean, you can throw a stone down there or a ball or whatever down Colby Street, be lucky to hit a car, if not a person, because that's not what we want. We want people down there to spend money. We want people to come and gather. And again, my opinion, but
I think we should move to the work session first one.
Well, it doesn't appear as though we have a consensus for a long-term closure. What about short-term for this weekend, for the events of this weekend? There's going to be a lot of people in town. I think it's a safety issue.
we got cruising coming up. Cruising this weekend, don't we?
Yes, and club battle.
There's all kinds of stuff this weekend.
Is there anyone in opposition to that? Closing it
Well,
off for the weekend.
And like I said, I'm not against something like that if there is an event going on. There is a lot of activity this weekend, but I'm not that crazy about to begin with, but it does. I know there's a lot of people that partake in it.
And it is a charity event.
I would probably be inclined to go along for this weekend.
I think, special occasions,
Yeah.
but not continuous.
Fire department's okay?
I can't speak for them. I think I'm fine with temporaries. Only that quite often barricades are easily moved, but permanent stuff is not.
It does take council approval, so a motion of support to close on a temporary basis. Last weekend, we do have the authority, the police chief does, on a temporary basis for safety concerns. So we went that route for closing North Mears last weekend. I guess I would prefer, if time allows, that the city council take action on street closures.
I'll
So-
motion to close it for this weekend for a special event.
I'll second.
Let's have. Moved in second, is there any further discussion on that? Do we need a roll call?
No.
All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Those say no? Okay, I think we got your direction. Next up is public comment. Anybody in the public? Yes.
Good evening, my name is Farah Horn, I live in the city of Whitehall. I wanted to say thank you to the council for adopting the Climate Mobilization Action Plan. I think the climate map is well researched and it is a fact-based document. And I think it's the first step to bringing Whitehall forward and creating a thriving community that's ongoing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yes.
I should just come up here and sit. It's lovely when you start in public to see Whitehall. Is there any reason why the fishing ramp down at Goodrich Park hasn't been opened up, or is it still need to be demolished, rebuilt, or what's going on with that?
Would you like a response?
Yes, please.
As of today, our engineer sent a stern email to the district manager for Eagle. We had submitted permits to both the Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Environment, the state, as well as the Army Corps of Engineers last fall. The Army Corps approved it either in September or October. We're still waiting on the state to approve. What I will do is I will follow up with our state senator and our state representative. They keep asking questions. I mean, really, we're just rebuilding a fishing deck that had been there for 15 years, and we're improving the handicap access. So we kind of thought, and our engineers thought, that this was routine set of approvals. But for whatever reason, the Department of EGLE has not moved on it. We're pushing from two sides. Our engineers pushing on the district supervisor for Eagle, and we will touch base with our state representatives tomorrow. So it's bureaucratic red tape.
All right. Another question is the cemetery. The drive through the cemetery, the road is very earthly or whatever. It doesn't have poles, but it's pretty bad shape, and maybe in a couple of years they put on a list to get it replaced. Okay?
President? Yes.
Okay. Well, I gotta go back there at least twice a year to go to my parents' grave, so thank you.
In this,
something in the works on that?
in this fiscal year, we budgeted for repairs.
Yes.
I thought.
We have budgeted for repairs this fiscal year,
Probably next spring.
so the work will probably take effect next spring.
Oh, cool.
So, yes, we are
You're aware of it.
aware of it, actively working towards that.
Thank you.
Yes.
So just a quick look for the weekend that we just voted on, to close the road. We've got cruising by foot on Saturday. We've got the White Lake Historic Cruise on Sunday. We've got the White Lake Pub Pedal on Saturday, and we've got the cruising on Friday. So it looks like a pretty busy weekend.
Cruising on foot is a 5K.
5K runs.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Starts at the gym.
Palooza thing.
That's August 24th, I believe.
That's not this weekend.
So it will be busy.
All right. If there's nothing, yes, sir.
I do have one, just because we'll keep the spotlight on somebody who is celebrating her 39th birthday this evening.
39th birthday, all right.
Times what?
Why are you laughing about?
It's not me. She's right behind me, though, literally.
That would be
Our city clerk turns 39 today.
Wow, thank you. Scott.
You're welcome.
I'll take it.
To you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
For all you do for our community.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Nothing, no one has anything else, we are adjourned.